Kurt Browning's story continues. Tonight, it's the homecoming for the world champion at Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton. This was the scene at Edmonton International as a native son comes home after winning gold in Paris. Tonight, Browning gets a chance to strut his stuff in his first ever major performance in Edmonton.
Cindy Landry, Canadian ladies champion Karen Preston, former Canadian pairs champions Christine Huff and Doug Ladre, former world champion Brian Orser, and current world men's champion Kurt Browning.
Brought the exciting lineup of figure skaters for you tonight, also a very unusual one, because for the first time ever, the Canadian Figure Skating Association has put together a lineup comprised of both amateur and professional skaters, which means for you tonight, we have champions both past and present. In 1989, a year of passing the torch in Canadian figure skating.
That's right, and 1988 was a year where 4 national championships were retired. And certainly I thought it was going to be a year since then of having to show a little patience, perhaps some understanding, while our new team filled into the very large skates left by Wilson and McCall, Liz Manley, and of course Brian Orser. And who could have thought that this bright young pair of Cindy Landry and Lyndon Johnson would absolutely ransack the World Championships and come away with a silver medal. And then, of course, we have Kurt Browning, the new world champion. He's a darling of the media, straightforward, says it like it is, a wonderful new champion.
And a native son, so they're looking forward to his performance tonight in Edmonton. All the skaters are lacing on the blades. We'll be back shortly.
World silver medalists Cindy Landry and Lyndon Johnston.
From Pancourt, Quebec, Cindy Landry and Lyndon Johnston of Little Hamiota, Manitoba. One of the great stories in Canadian figure skating this past year. Just put together as a duo last June, already world silver medalists.
This doesn't happen to Canada very often in the world of figure skating. It seems that you have to gently make your way up the ladder, so it's a doubly exciting story. It's very difficult for the skaters to find their horizon and therefore to know exactly where the ice is to land on balance.
Get up, get up, get down, down, down. Shake it, shake it, move it to the other thing, move it to the other thing, move it to the other thing. Dance, 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 come on and dance, 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 come on and dance, 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 dance.
Bog Till You Drop, music courtesy of the Canadian vocal stylist. The Nylons, a relatively new program for Cindy Landry and Lyndon Johnston. Canadian figure skaters enjoyed a terrific medal haul at Calgary, but all have retired from amateur competition. In her first year of seniors competition, Karen Preston of Mississauga is the new Canadian women's champion, and she faces the very daunting task of filling the skates left by Elizabeth Manley.
A very good triple toe loop to open the program. Competition, Karen was probably the only lady to come up with the complete package. Very athletic, outstanding jumps, yet she doesn't sacrifice any of her femininity to successfully complete all these difficult maneuvers.
A dazzling gold costume and a smile to match in a future that promises to be just as bright. Canadian women's champion, Karen Preston. And successful athletes this country has ever produced. 8 times consecutively the Canadian men's champion. 2 Olympic medals at Sarajevo and Calgary, world champion in 1987. And look at the ovation he is getting from the fans tonight in Edmonton. Brian Orser says he has had a 20-year love affair with this sport. It shows when he skates, and the fans are rewarding him for it.
The story of my the day you leave. The story of my life.
This is Brian's
begins and
tribute to the
ends
audience.
with you. The names are still the same.
Probably his trademark program, the one that is most sought after, the one that most people remember.
Story of my life, and every word is true. Each chapter sings your name. Each page begins with you. It's the story of our time. Never letting go. And if I die today, I wanted you to know. Stay with me here. Share with me, care with me, stay and be near.
Triple toe boot done with such finesse.
Just knowing somewhere deep inside that our affair just might rise. The story of my life. It's so very plain to read. It starts the day you came. It ends the day you leave.
Masterful work by an artist and an athlete. For 8 consecutive years, the men's champion of this country, world champion in 1987, Olympic medals. And look at the reaction from the fans at Northlands Coliseum.
Here at the look to the entrance of the first jump, the double axel, it's hard to believe that he could be better today than he was as an amateur. A man ahead of his time, somehow, in terms of artistry, attention to detail.
Thank you. Being a world champion is an incredible feeling. And coming back to your hometown to skate for the first time after being a world champion is probably one of the best moments about being a world champion. Kurt Browning won the world championships a month ago. And as Canadians, we were all very, very proud. But two people that were particularly proud, of course, were Kurt's parents, who are sitting right here, and I'm going to join them. Ladies and gentlemen, Edmonton's own Kurt Browning.
Brian Orser is now a professional skater. But he has set the standard by which this young man will now be judged. The reigning Canadian champion, the reigning world champion, and a native son of Alberta. He's from a ranch outside Little Caroline, population 431, a part of central Alberta that Kurt says, in the sporting sense, produces only hockey players and Bronco busters. But this young man is a figure skater.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how they do. They're really saying,
Double axel jump. Kurt has probably been recognized for many years already as a very athletic skater, but here as he matures, we're seeing that artistic growth is part of the plan too.
and I think to myself, what a wonderful. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
A triumphant return for the conquering hero. What a wonderful world, and wasn't that appropriate? The first skater ever to successfully attempt a quadruple jump at the World Championship, skating with obvious delight, exuding confidence, Kurt Browning, the reigning world champion. Canadian tradition, producing some of the world's best figure skaters. It's a tradition and a commitment that is shared by sponsors such as the Royal Bank of Canada, because producing champions is an expensive business.
Corporate sponsor is an opportunity for both the athlete and the sponsor to spread and to grow. We learn about them and they learn about us, and it's a good partnership. And it comes down to paying for skating and paying for competitions and giving some national pride. And I think that the sponsors feel that too. They feel a part of it, and it's a good exchange.
The Royal Bank is committed to the Canadian Figure Skating Association as an official sponsor of the Champions on Ice Tour.
We think we've got the best of all worlds with the tour. We think that you know, those that attend the performances get top-flight entertainment, and the skaters have a chance to once again demonstrate how successful Canada has been at producing skating champions of this caliber.
The former Canadian pairs champions, Christine Huff and Doug Ladre. Their program tonight, very romantic. It's very sensuous. One of the strengths is that intangible ability to project a mood to the audience.
It must have been cold there in my shadow to never have sunlight on your face.
throw double axel. Tuffy and Doug have that indescribable something, the rapport that they have on the ice. Makes them quite special.
I know the truth. Of course I know you. I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I wish I could be. I could fly higher than an eagle. For you are the wind beneath my wings. Did I ever tell you you're my hero? You're everything, everything I wish I could be. Oh, night, I can fly higher than an eagle. For you are the wind beneath my wings. 'Cause you are the wind beneath my wings. Oh, the wind beneath my wings. Thank you, thank you, thank God for you. The wind beneath my wings.
In many ways, a very understated program, very quiet and controlled, and yet so elegant. Christine Huff and Doug Ladray. Paris, 1989. Kurt Browning wins the men's world figure skating title. For Canada, this represents a passing of the torch from Brian Orser to Kurt Browning, from one world champion to another, and from a friend to a friend.
I had heard earlier in the day, as soon as Kurt won, of course, the phone started ringing, and you know, Canadian press and all the different press were trying to get my initial reaction. And I mean, I was like every other Canadian, very proud. And then watching it that night, it was interesting sitting watching the event. And even though I knew Kurt had won, I was still very nervous watching all of the guys. And I could just see it in his face before he went out. I knew it was going to be a great performance because he just had all this confidence. And afterwards, when he made the little dedication to me, that meant a lot because I was emotionally dealing with a lot of things, and that made things all right.
I spent the whole week downplaying it, and it's just another long program, and it's a run-through that it just didn't hit me. It hit you at Cincinnati, but I think it was a different situation. For me, it's just sort of like Alice in Wonderland, and for Brian, it was, I think, the culmination of a lot of years. It was a different kind of win. And so I was just happy-go-lucky, and yeah, I'll take the medal. But I was really a lot more emotional when Brian won. It was easy to be a Canadian at Worlds because I knew people were looking at me going, he's the Canadian. And I felt really good about that. And Brian was a Canadian, you know, and I just felt like I just hopped on the ball and kept it rolling.
I don't think Kurt's ever come right out and asked for advice because he really has got a grip on everything. I mean, the only advice that I ever gave him last year after I retired was just to continue to enjoy skating and to remember that that's why you got into skating, was because you love to skate and you love to perform and you love to throw yourself into the air. And there's times when you're training that you get so frustrated and so caught up in World Championships or the Olympics and that you have to win and all these things that you forget that you love to skate, and that sometimes you have to stand back and take a look at the whole picture and just remind yourself of that.
When I found out that Brian and I were going to skate together, I saw you do a duet with Boitano, and it looked like so much fun. And I don't know, I like to be in the middle of everything. I like to have my nose, you know, and so it's an opportunity that I certainly will never forget.
It'll be a special night for me, being on the ice with not only just another world champion, but another Canadian, a friend, and I think there's a message there that you want to get across to people, and that's what skating's all about, and that's what sport is all about. That you can share the ice with somebody, and that there's no egos getting in the way, and you just go out and you have fun, you entertain the crowd, and you sort of have a special moment to yourself as well.
Here's a moment we have been anticipating. It is something you may never see again. Brian Orser, the longtime champion and the new champion together.
Back in 1987, when I won my world title, there's a particular piece of music that I skated to that reminds me of that, and this is it now.
This is part of his competitive short program from the 1987 World Championships, done to Sing Sing.
Benny Goodman.
That brings back memories. You know, watching you win the gold medal in Cincinnati was one of the most emotional moments in my whole skating career. If you just wait a second, I'd like to show you what I did in Paris.
And now a portion of Kurt's competitive short program.
Not bad, Kurt. I think we should really give these Edmontonians their money's worth. Maybe we can do something together for them.
This is something that Orser and Browning cooked up just for this show and just for our viewing audience. You may never see this again.
Side, triple shoulder.
Gabby, I think we have to mention a terrific line we heard when these two were practicing earlier today. One of our technicians walked by and saw Browning go airborne, and he said, boy, can that guy take air. His jumping ability is just remarkable. You know what? They're having fun out there together. The Champions on Ice continues in just a moment. Stay with us.
Two-time Olympic medalist and world champion, Mr. Brian Orser.
A long-time Canadian champion, a very talented skater, a very polished entertainer, as you will see now, and a worldwide ambassador not only for his sport, but for Canada. Brian Orser has done us proud.
Mostly because they are considered illegal. A true skating jump, as considered by the judges, is one that is landed on one foot and on an edge, meaning on a curve.
This is the part of the program always gets the young ladies excited. Brian is no longer competing at the amateur level. His quality of skating, the technical components are still superb. It's a lot more fun for him now, although the pressure is probably daily, as opposed to a couple of times a year. Can still get up in the air. standing ovation from the throng here at Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton.
Dan, you talked about him still being able to get up in the air. Watch here, the triple Salchow jump, 3 rotations in the air, off a back inside edge to a backward outside edge. Yet he has managed to focus so completely on detail to music, not one wasted note.
Once again, the 1989 world champion, Kurt Browning.
The torch has been passed from Brian Orser to this young man, who has developed so quickly as an international star, from ranch country in Alberta to the world stage to the world title. Debbie, you were mentioning earlier how he has added, in a very short time, so much artistry to his athleticism. And we're seeing here today how he has very quickly learned how to use all the props and tools available in an ice show to really grab the people in the audience.
You're right, Dan. Everything, his eye contact with the audience. That would be too daring to use as a competitive program.
It's been a feast of figure skating at the Northlands tonight. They're on their feet one more time to pay tribute and say thank you to the new world champion.
There's always invention in figure skating. Here, a fabulous double axel right across the chair.
They wouldn't quit. Kurt Browning had to come back, and the kid from just outside Edmonton is wearing an Edmonton Oilers jersey, number 89. That is the year that he won the world title in March in Paris.
And his trademark number, Tequila, which began as a competitive program, incidentally.
Debbie, you may have noticed that Kurt has his sweater tucked in just over his right hip. That was at one point in time a trademark of another famous Edmonton Oiler. A big homecoming for Kurt Browning.
Champions on Ice. Brought to you by the Royal Bank, the official bank of the Canadian Figure Skating Association.
On Kurt Browning Day, a very magic night at Northlands Coliseum, not just for the skater, but for the skater's family as well, Debbie. A beautiful moment when Ryan Orser introduced his parents.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, I guess what makes it so wonderful is that it means all the dedication, the money, and all the hard work has finally paid off. And if we look down the road a little bit, I mean, what an exciting year it's going to be next year. A world champion coming back, new champions to crown. I think it's going to be amazing. The CFSA should take a lot of credit. They're putting the talent down at the grassroots again.
An exciting future for figure skating. Certainly some exciting skating tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. We certainly did. Until the next time, so long from Edmonton.
I think to